most often the building builders would suggest a metal tank. Then you have far less chemical leaching to worry about. Rainwater tanks have a polymer coating. Make sure that you flush it through first so that you're not drinking the water that's been contaminated by the manufacturing products. But of course, you need to think about the gutters as well and the taps as well, that they're lead-free. Pretty easy to find these days because it's not just the way that the water's stored, but the way that it's collected into the tank as well that you need to think about.
All the different materials that go into what the water's actually going to be touching, and then, but by the time it reaches you is really important too.
Have a water filter as well. So
yes.
It's one thing to have a safer, healthier way to collect water. It's not going to be contaminant free. So filtering water before you drink it is a really good option. So I don't know whether in a tiny house you would have a water filter inside the house, maybe at your kitchen sink, or whether you'd have one at the point of entry so that all the water that's coming in is filtered. That's the ideal. So the water that you use for your dishes, to wash your clothes, in your shower, and in your cooking is all filtered. That's sort of the gold standard. But if not that, then a filter underneath the sink or on the bench top, if that's the best available space, that filters the water before you drink it.
Yeah.
Is that something that you would consider in a tiny house?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's different setups. I know that if you get a local plumber to, whether it's collecting water off the tiny roof or whether it's like a shed next door like mine, there's different options. You can get I think a whole house filter, like you said, at the point where the water enters. But I actually, before I moved into my tiny home, I already had, you would know of those Zazen water filters, the countertop ones. I've had that for years and years and years. And I just, instead of paying extra money to do one on the outside, I just use that for my drinking water. And then I've got a separate shower filter on my shower that I just need to change, I think once every 6 months or every year or something like that. And what I've noticed in the Zazen from when I used to live in Sydney, in the city, when the filter becomes all yellow and yucky and you can see all those chemicals. But the difference of living in my tiny home using that is that the filter actually gets all green rather than all yellow. So I think it's still, obviously there's still stuff coming through, but it's a lot of the green matter from, I guess, the trees and whatever gets caught in the gutters and all of that. So it is showing me that it's still very necessary to filter the water, even though it is rainwater and it's coming from nature. As you say, when it's getting what it's collected in and, by the time it gets to you, there's still actually stuff in there that needs to be filtered out. But it's interesting to see the difference between the city and the country.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Because if you're collecting the water off a shed roof as well, so you have maybe, I don't know what your neighbours are, but you might have fields, for example, and there might be agricultural pesticides, or even if they're not really close, they're still blowing in the wind, settling onto your roof. And so they're the things that come off into your rainwater, and that's where the filter comes in handy.